The number one objection I hear from people who are just getting started or want to get started is, Matt, I can't find deals. Where are the deals? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Matt Garabedian, AKA the Phenom Investor. Thank you for checking out the YouTube video. So happy that you're here. Guys, in today's video, I'm gonna talk about the big misconception about real estate investing. The number one objection I hear from people who are just getting started or want to get started is, Matt, I can't find deals. Where are the deals? I'm here to show you in this video that that is just a myth and a lie that people are telling themselves because they are too scared to fail or to start because they don't know what I'm about to teach you guys. So make sure you stay till the very end of this video as I'm gonna walk you step by step on how to find a deal in any part of the country, no matter what your experience level is and no matter where you're starting. All right, so let's get straight into it. Roll that clip. Okay, so apart from these step-by-step procedures I'm gonna have you do, the first step and the most key step necessary for your success, I don't care what it is, it's your mindset. If you walk into this thinking and doubting that you can't do this, well, in fact, you're training your brain to find reasons as to why you won't succeed. Whatever we put in our brain, whether good or bad, will come out and play out in real life. So I want you to be very mindful about the conversation that you're having with yourself. In fact, the conversation that you have with yourself will be the most important conversation that you ever have. So from this point on, I want you to feed yourself with positive affirmations and quality information going into your brain. These are things like, I could do it, I was born to do this, God made me in His image, I'm as smart and as successful as anybody else, and now is my time. When you go into these things and train your brain to believe that you're going to reach your destination, your subconscious goes to work finding how to do it. You don't need to figure out how to do it. You just need to train your brain to know that it needs to get there, and now watch what happens. When you have self-confidence, everything great will begin to happen for you. All right, so step number one, guys, very simple and basic. You gotta know where you're gonna start making your contacts and your marketing. So for me, when I started, the natural choice was to start in my own town. So I don't know where you're at, wherever you're watching this, but take a look at your own backyard. Do you have enough houses? Is the population decent enough? Now keep in mind, when I started back in Fresno, California, the population roughly of the county was about 500,000 people. That's plenty of houses, plenty of opportunity to start my business in my particular hometown. Now you may be from a hometown that has 100,000 population. I'm not saying that's not a good market to start in, but you want to be mindful of how big your territory is. So after you've started to make that decision where you're going to start your marketing, you want to get some market knowledge. Some things that I would consider market knowledge are, what is the median home price in your area? Is it 250,000? Is it 500,000? Is it more? You want to start understanding the data behind where you're marketing. The reason you're going to want to know that stuff is because you want to see where most of the home activity is. Do most people buy at the average asking or median price of say 250 or 300? That way you know where to focus your efforts, because you don't want to start marketing to $1 million plus houses, because that's not going to fit your model. You're going to be ending up turning your wheels and not finding anybody that's necessarily motivated to sell a property to you outside of the price range that makes sense. So you've selected this particular territory. The second step that I probably would do is familiarize yourself with your team. And when I mean team, typically when you're doing a real estate deal, there is an escrow and title process involved. So your local escrow officer and title company is the first place that I would look. And I would ask this company if they are investor friendly, meaning if your idea is to wholesale or flip or buy for cash or do a subject to or some type of creative real estate deal, you want to find someone that understands that process. Not every escrow officer understands how to put together a wholesale or a sub two, or learn how to, find a creative strategy to closing a deal. So you want to find the right escrow officer to work with. Once you've established that contact, then you could ask them for data. That's a great resource to get free information that you don't have to pay for if you're working on a limited budget. One of the lists that I would ask for is a cash buyer. I want to know the most recent cash transactions in the last 6 months. So they'll literally give you an Excel spreadsheet with the name of the buyer, the property address that they purchased, and most often the price that they paid for that property. What you're gonna wanna look for in that list is repeat buyers. I call these people professional investors. These are not the one-offs or the mom and pops, but these are the guys that are buying 5, 10, 15 houses a month. So you identified those professional cash buyers, and I'm simply gonna pick up the phone and make a conversation with them. I'm gonna introduce myself. I'm gonna ask questions like, what's your disposition strategy? Do you typically buy these properties to flip? Are you holding them for rentals? Perhaps you're building an Airbnb portfolio. I'm just trying to get an idea of what they like, what their criteria seems to be, and just tell them, hey, look, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I will want to grab your email address because I'm gonna be sending you properties in the very near future. I'd love to do a deal with you. Make it short, sweet, they're busy, be professional, but always get their email address because you need to be constantly building your cash buyers list throughout this entire process and never stop adding names to that list. If we could get it for 400, that's what they wanted, but he says, oh, our plan was to list it for 400 because we think it will be a bidding war, one of those guys. And I'm like, yeah, but my number's net to you. And then, and I said, look, if you think it's a waste of time for me to send it over, I won't do it. And he's like, oh, no, we're only talking here for a couple minutes. So, I'll definitely, if you can move fast and get us that number, then I think, we could definitely consider it. So we just gotta grind him down,
What's the ARV on it?
Well, see, he's telling me there's another bedroom there that could be a third bedroom. And if that's the case, then it could be in the mid fives. I think as is right now, it's 475. So now that you've found the territory you want to start marketing in, you've made a few connections on the cash buyer side, the next step you're going to want to do is start sending out your marketing so that you could get sellers to start calling you and then have conversations. The first step in order to get the phone ringing is you got to get the data, and you want to target the right type of homeowner so it gives you the best opportunity to get a deal. The type of target you want to shoot for is motivation. When I'm looking at who I want to market to, because I need to buy property that's A, off the market, and B, I want to buy it for less than it's worth today, I need to find some pain or some motivation that would lead that seller to get into a negotiation and a conversation with me in order for me to buy that property at 65 to 70% of today's value. Some of the lists that I pull are non-owner occupied, meaning they don't live in the property. Another one would be probate. Another list that I like is utility shutoff. Code enforcement would be another great list. If you can get your hands on a code enforcement list, I highly recommend that. Another list that I've used in the past is unknown equity. That's a secret kind of insider tip. You got to learn how to build a list properly in order to find a unknown equity list. But if a lot of people don't know how to use it, it makes that list more attractive. A place that I go to build lists is called listsource.com. You could go in and play with the different scales inside of that and move it around to see what would be the best potential list you could pull. If you don't have any specific information that you're looking for or don't know what you want to look for in a list, I use a company called directskip.com. Peter over there is awesome. Go ahead and message me directly if you're looking for a list, and I can make an intro to you to that company personally. I've used them for years. Their data is very high quality and their skip rate is always up in the 98-99% range, which is so crucial because if your data is not good, you're not gonna have much success. You always wanna get the best high quality data that's out there, because that is essentially your whole business. If you're not getting the right information, you can't get sellers to call you, and you can never get a contract. Don't skip out and don't try to find cheap data, because you're gonna get cheap results. Now we've got the data and we've got it skip traced, meaning we have the property owner's name, the address, and their telephone number. Now we need to decide how we are going to get our message in front of them consistently. Some of the ways that you could do that are very simple. You could send a direct mail directly to their home. You could send a text message. You could cold call them. Those are the 3 ways that you can contact sellers directly. Now, on a cold call, you're gonna have to talk to a lot of people to find that one motivated seller. On a piece of direct mail, you are sending a message to them and they're returning that message back to you. So that lead is better than a cold call. They're responding to your outbound message. Same goes with a text message. I send outbound text messages showing them that I'm interested in buying their house, and then they reply back with either, yes, I'm interested, or no, take me off the list. Of course, the people that say, yes, I'm interested, you need to call immediately. The key to locking up deals is to always answer your phone and respond within 10 minutes at the very longest to someone's message. There's a lot of competition, so the one that gets there first has the best shot at success. So now that we've sent out our marketing, we're now gonna get responses that are gonna be coming in from our marketing efforts. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. You've spent money, you've invested money into your marketing, now you're getting responses. The biggest mistake that I see people do is that they don't call people back and they don't answer their phone. Guys, it makes no sense. If you're investing money, you've got to be able to now respond to the marketing responses. That's the whole point of marketing. I see too many people not pick up the phone. They're delaying having that conversation, either because they don't know what to say, they're shy, they're insecure, they just get in their own way and they overthink it. What you need to do, and this is very simple, just be you. Have a conversation, say hello, ask questions. And this is a very, very important piece of advice. You want to get into the habit of not talking about yourself, okay? You want to get into the habit of asking more questions than you are telling about what your company does. At this point, they don't really care and are not listening about what your company does for them. They only want to know one thing. Do you understand their need and can you help them? The way that we can uncover people's motivation is by asking great questions. Some of the examples of great questions that you can ask is, what happens if? Let's assume that I can close. What happens after that? Another great question would be, have you thought about what you're gonna do with the money when you close your property? How long have you lived in the property? Did you grow up in the property? I'm just trying to dig for people to start talking about memories, their family, their motivation, why they're moving. Perhaps they're gonna bring up in the conversation that they raise their kids in the home, and now the kids are moved out, and that way they need to downsize because they're getting a little bit older. Boom, I've just figured out that age and empty nesting is probably the main reason why they're looking to sell. And now I have a reason to start talking to them about how I can solve the problem with them of downsizing in an efficient manner and helping them transit out of that house into a new place to live. In the past, I've literally helped people by giving them a moving truck. I've hired a moving company, and I've even helped them find another place just because the deal was good enough for me to put that extra effort in, and I'm separating myself from the competition by going above and beyond. Remember, this is a people business, so you have to be able to relate, you have to be able to build rapport, and you have to get these people to trust you and like you in order for them to even start talking about a price they'd be willing to sell to you. Now, next step is you gotta make the right offer. We're obviously in this business to profit, so you can't go and make offers that are not going to work. You have to learn how to analyze properties. The first step you need to do is find out what the ARV is, the after repair value. That means what the house would be worth in that given neighborhood with like kind square footage, bedroom and bathroom counts in a general half mile to max 1 mile radius. So if you could find houses that have been improved and the kitchen, the bathrooms, the yard, the roof, all in great shape, they've been updated, you know, there's money been put into it, what did that sell for? That's a good indicator of what the potential property that you're looking at could be worth if someone went in and put renovation money into the property. So I can't explain everything on this particular time, but you need to start looking at how to buy these properties at 65 to 70% of the ARV. So if a property is worth $100,000 in its best shape, you got to buy that property at like 65 to 70,000 max. And that is assuming you don't have a major rehab on your hands. These are some things that you're going to have to start working and practicing with, but here's a little tip. If you can pull the cash transactions in that neighborhood, you could see where cash transactions are happening at. That is giving you a great indicator of where other cash buyers are willing to pay for in that neighborhood, and you can start forming your offers around those numbers. The final step in this process is to give your offer. You want to then have another conversation with the seller. If ideally you can meet them in person, I would start trying to do that in person, because over the phone and email is a little impersonal if you're not very skilled over the phone. If this is your first 10 deals, I would recommend going in person, sitting at the kitchen table and walking them through the contract. Make sure that you read your contract many times over to understand how to explain anything that seller might object to or bring up in the conversation. The more professional and the better responses you can give to sellers, the more that they will trust you and go ahead and sign on the dotted line. Great, they signed the contract, now you're in business. The final step is figuring out what your disposition strategy will be. Will you wholesale it? Will you flip it? Will you hold it for an Airbnb? Will you hold it for a traditional rental? We'll talk about those things on a future video, but the great thing is you've just accomplished all of those steps and now have a contract that you own equitable interest in, and that's worth a lot of money in today's real estate market. I walked you through many steps here. They're not complicated, but the thing that I want you to also remember, this is about hustle. You're not gonna get a deal on your first call. You might not even get a deal on your 100th call. The key to this, and the person that can figure this out, is who can last longer. Can you get rejected over and over and over and over again and keep going? If you could do that, you eventually will hit. I could promise you that. The only time you're gonna lose is if you quit. I know guys that have gotten deals in their first month, and I know other guys that took them 16 months to get a deal, but that guy that took 16 months built such a resiliency that once he accomplished that first contract, nothing stopped him, and now he's a multi-millionaire. That's the power of real estate, and that's the power of resiliency, and like I said at the beginning of the video, your mindset. You gotta be sharp, and you gotta have a resilient mindset in this business to succeed. It's not a hard business to figure out, but it's only for those that are mentally strong. I believe in you, you can do it. Guys, I hope this video provided you with some basics on how to find a deal in any market and giving you a couple tips and strategies to separate you from the competition. If you like everything you saw here, please consider liking and subscribing as I talk about everything from real estate to crypto to mindset to building businesses, because that's what I do on a day-to-day basis. What I'm talking about here is not just theory. I've done this my entire career, and that's why I'm able to come to you with advice that I know works, because I've done it in the real world. As always, guys, I appreciate you, and be phenomenal. See you on the next video.